Amber, do we want to try to just listen in for a second? I'm not sure where they're at in the program here, but why don't we just listen?
I wore this painting to Melissa and Mark Horton's funeral to identify as clergy that day. They gave us pens. The families were purple, the clergies were green, the house folks had another color. But that's not okay. This isn't what I should have to pull my suit out for every time. None of us are immune to gun violence. So today we call on our elected officials to join us in making real change now.
My name is Doug Wilk. I'm also one of the pastors at Holy Trinity in South Minneapolis. This is a prayer from The Lives We Actually Have, a book. The prayer is entitled For the Courage to Do Something Difficult. God, I am struggling to face the difficult thing I know I should do, the conversation I've been avoiding, the help I should have asked for months ago, the symptoms I have long ignored. Oh God, help me. I am afraid to act, but afraid to admit my inaction might be making things worse. Blessed are we who recognize that we are struggling under the weight of the nothing that has happened but needs to. Blessed are we who say honestly, God, this is so hard, and I don't know why. The longer I leave it, the worse it gets. God, help me begin, or even begin to begin, though I can't know how this will go. Fill that inner space where I am quietly overwhelmed and stuck in mud, or maybe it's quicksand. I hear you say, I will strengthen you and help you. You go before me and you are right here with me. Even now in my panicking, in my anxieties, in my master avoidance, your love never fails. But when I am afraid, I will put my trust in you.
And from Psalm 46. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore we will not fear, though the earth should change, though the mountains shake in the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam, though the mountains tremble with its tumult. There is a river whose streams make glad the city of God, the holy habitation of the Most High. God is in the midst of the city, it shall not be moved. God will help it when the morning dawns.
From the Gospel of Matthew, the 5th chapter. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God.
Now a prayer for legislators. God of justice and compassion, we lift up in prayer all those who hold the weight of leadership and lawmaking in this moment.
Okay, so we have been listening in here to day one of what they're calling a seven days of prayer and action. Earlier this morning, these groups delivered a letter to Governor Walz signed by about 600 Minnesota clergy members urging him to pass a ban on assault weapons and high-capacity magazines. Again, today just day one that they're kicking off here on the steps of the Capitol of these midday services. Every day, 2 to 3 congregations will come together, lead a short prayer over the noon hour to honor the victims and survivors of gun violence, and also pray for communities as well, call on lawmakers to act. And just by the way, Saturday, a virtual day of prayer event, same time, same place, but virtually, so that anybody could attend those. So that is one of the events that we are following today that is happening for you live. quickly, we wanted to mention this because we just learned about this in the last couple of hours or so, but Minneapolis police are now investigating some anti-Semitic graffiti that was found on Temple Israel Synagogue. That is home to one of the largest Jewish congregations in the country. It's in Minneapolis. Rabbi Marcia Zimmerman shared a letter saying that they found what she says hateful language and imagery early this morning, including some anti-Zionist references to the October 7th attacks on Israel. Of course, yesterday was that 2-year anniversary. In a statement that she put out, she says, as we mourn the 2nd anniversary of the October 7th attacks, this ugly act of anti-Semitism is particularly painful. We have always lived by the words inscribed by above our doors. My house shall be a house of prayer for all peoples. We remain committed to our Jewish values, which we proudly pass on to our children, and to the interfaith dialogue that has built meaningful relationships across our city. She says that there was a thorough security sweep this morning. They will remain open today as planned with Temple security in place. So letting you know about that investigation as well. And then one more investigation that's happening involving Minneapolis here. A fight, investigators believe, may have led to a deadly shooting in downtown Minneapolis last night. This is not in an area that we typically talk about or see this kind of violence. And police today, this afternoon, are looking for whoever they say started shooting inside Bar Zia last night. A 21-year-old man was killed. 3 others were injured, 2 men and a woman. Bar Zia is just sort of a few blocks west of US Bank Stadium. They host music events there, kind of by City Hall, the county jail, the federal courthouse, that area. Again, nobody arrested in that shooting, so police definitely looking for some more information. Also, to give you some context here, we've talked about mass shootings, and that's, you know, a number that we use, right? 3 or more. They've made a lot of headlines recently, particularly in Minneapolis. But also, we wanted to just let you know in context here, gun crime in Minneapolis is actually down. Overall, the number of calls for what they call shots fired has dropped 20% since last year. And then both the number of gunshot victims and homicides are each down 15% during that same period. The number of assaults, if you look at the numbers, those have risen slightly, but overall, most violent crimes have shown an even greater decrease. And this is going back now, looking over the past 3 years. So just to give you a little bit of context there. But this one, you know, is a little bit different than some of the ones that we've been talking about lately that have been in a certain area of Minneapolis. This one over closer to the federal courthouse in Minneapolis. All right, let's see. We've got Keith standing by here in a second, but we want to get through a couple of other headlines here. And this is something kind of left over from yesterday, but we wanted to bring it up because we didn't get a chance to bring you this information. Our Rob Olson was covering this for us yesterday. This was a forum, public forum that happened, and Governor Tim Walz made some headlines at this forum. He says that he is preparing for President Trump to deploy National Guard troops in Minnesota. Now, we know nothing has been activated, nothing has happened yet, but the governor just sort of sharing his opinion on this, that he believes that he's preparing for it. He made those comments alongside actually Illinois Governor J.D. Pritzker, who, of course, in Illinois has been monitoring troops just outside of Chicago that have been sent in by the Trump administration. This morning, in fact, President Trump actually did post on Truth Social, kind of a vague post, but mentioning Governor Pritzker and the Chicago mayor, saying that they should be jailed for, quote, failing to protect ICE officers. And it was just yesterday when Governor Pritzker said at that forum that they think it's a very real possibility that they could be targeted as well by the president. Here's a little bit of what they had to say.
You joked about who's going to be arrested first. Do you both believe that you could sincerely be arrested?
Yes. I'm asking any of you to come visit me in the gulag in El Salvador.
Yes, I think in all seriousness, yes. You saw the thing with James Comey.
It sounds like, yeah.
You see the same with James Comey. You see the representative who went to a detention facility.
All right, and we're going to do a little bit more on this tomorrow. We've actually booked the head of the National Policing Institute for tomorrow's show to weigh in on this. The reason we chose them is they're a nonpartisan, independent nonprofit that supports, they say, effective policing. So we'll talk to them about all of this as well. All right, Amber, do we want to roll through one more headline, or do you want to Do you want to talk some weather? Let's do it. Let's talk to our friend Keith because he's standing by so patiently. Hello.
Hello.
My favorite part of the morning show this morning was...
The cold?
Nope.
Oh.
Was your reference that not many people would get. I know a reference that not many people would get does not narrow it down a lot. But when you looked up at the sunrise behind you on the big screen and you said it reminded you of the old opening of HBO's.
It did.
100%. I was at home going, yes.
That's what it looked like.
Gosh.
We do that a couple times a year. That old. What flies over that little city, and then it's that big O comes up there, and we fly through that O.
I love it.
Yeah, I do too.
I was disappointed that Fraggle Rock didn't come on afterward. That was my go-to.
Yeah, that was a good jam. I was gonna say, yeah.
That's so old. Oh my gosh.
That trash. Was it a trash? No, I guess it was a leaf pile.
Trash heap?
No, it was a leaf pile.
Leaf lady? I don't know.
Yeah, there wouldn't have been a trash heap just randomly in somebody's yard. It would have been a talking leaf pile. Hey, Fraggles.
Hey, no talking leaf piles for us, right?
You know, I have a Muppet, by the way. I own a Muppet, like a news guy Muppet, a legitimate Jim Henson Muppet that was made for me by Cousin Carrie. Have I ever told stories of Cousin Carrie?
I love your Cousin Carrie stories.
Cousin Carrie's awesome. I don't talk about Cousin Carrie much on the air, but Cousin Carrie's a unique individual, and Cousin Carrie's like Susan's sister, and so Cousin Carrie, for one of my birthdays, gave me a Muppet. You could use to Muppet people, and it's not really me, but I've used during the pandemic. I think when we were broadcasting from home, I think the Muppet did the weather once because it was me, you know, just like this high, and so the Muppet did the weather. So
good.
It's made an appearance. It could fit right here without a problem.
Sure could.
I can slide under the desk, and the Muppet can do me.
You could use the company.
It has a little stick for an arm too. Light day, you got it.
Listen, if I don't get us back on the rails here, I'm gonna get in big trouble.
All right, I'll be brief and efficient. I am a scientist and I'm serious. I will button my button.
Tell us about this morning. A lot of us woke up to a little frost on the pumpkin.
That is correct, Amy. It sure was cold. Those temperatures this morning were down in the 20s and 30s, and we had our frost advisories and our freeze warnings. If you look at that 7-day forecast, there's nothing like this on those days ahead, as we have 40s and 50s ahead, and that will keep us from getting back into that zone, that's for sure. And this would be normal. 40s would be normal. 60s for this afternoon, that's where we're going. 64 for I'm speaking through the 7-day because I set this for a rotation because we'll get back to some of those morning lows. But this is a recovery. This is to show you that what we've just done was just a one-day visit into the cold zone. So we will bounce out of that quite nicely. But 64 this afternoon for an afternoon high, perfectly average for this time of year. An average high is right around 62. Heading to 68 tomorrow with sunshine, and 71 on Friday afternoon. And that 70 for the Gopher game and homecoming is going to look pretty good too. We're not changing yet, so maybe we hit that right at the very beginning. I don't know, but either way, we got down into the 20s and 30s this morning across the very part of the state. We had 20s even here in the metro. Parts of Anoka County were in the 20s. Cone Rapids was in the 20s. Rockford over in Wright County was in the 20s. Scandia was in the 20s. Stillwater flirted in the upper 20s to right around 30 this morning. Cambridge was in the 20s. Lakeville was 30 degrees this morning. Down into Owatonna and down toward Faribault, below freezing this morning as well in the upper 20s. And of course, all of central and northern Minnesota were in the 20s. As I list off these random cities for you, all of this, I know you can do the dual screen. If you're watching on Fox Local. If you're on the TV, just pull up your phone or whatever you want and go to Fox Local. We did a whole little story on it. We have all those graphics on there. You can see those graphics with all those colder temperatures. But that was the nice freeze and frost. And now that we've done it, guess what? We're done.
We move on with our lives.
We can move on with our lives. And there's enough things going on in the atmosphere. You know, we talk about the tropics. We always look to the Atlantic and the things happening in the Caribbean because that impacts the East Coast. Very rarely does the Pacific, the typhoons and the things like that in the Pacific impact us directly because the West Coast doesn't get really hit. Mexico does its thing. The Baja does its thing. But the energy coming off of, is it Penelope? Is that who the P storm is? And Octave and the system that will become maybe the future Raymond. There are 3 of them right now off the west coast of Mexico that are churning. They're heading back ashore, and they're going to thin their energy into the southwestern United States. There might be some monsoonal flow there. There's going to be a lot of heat energy released there. There might be a little rain, but a lot of heat energy is going to be released there. And don't make that face. It's okay. It's going to bend the upper levels of the jet stream. It's going to do a little wonkiness for us. Mid to late October, if we get enough of a bend in the jet when that stuff happens, it makes a little bubble, and that might mean some mild weathers for us continues.
Really?
Because of whoever the P storm is, Penelope or Filipina or Felipe, it's P. And I've said it 3 times this morning, and I've managed to forget because it just came and went. But Octave, I remember, and Future Raymond, not a named storm yet, not even a tropical storm yet, so we can't put the R on it, but I had to look up who the R storm was for the Pacific. It's Raymond.
Okay.
I know that's my middle name. Did you know that?
Everybody loves Raymond.
That's true. That's also a TV show. But that's a lot of released thermal energy into the potentially southwestern United States that would help to shape what ultimately happens to us, not directly, but vaguely and indirectly begins to push a lot of thermal energy into the United States. And we have to do something with that.
Okay, but it could mean good stuff for us.
It could mean some good stuff for us, just saying.
Paraphrase a little.
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome.
I'll
Thank
be
you.
done.
Thank you for that. I really appreciate it. Break? Yes? Question mark? Yes. Let's
Yes,
take
it always happens after I visit.
Oh, let's do it.
And you're going to talk about the email too.
It's like you. Oh no! You tried to sneak something in that wasn't planned. Ha! Trying to throw you off a little bit. Yes, email us. There you go. You can email us if you want. You don't have to, but if you feel like it.
You could write us a letter.
Or you could handwrite us a letter.
Is it time for them to sing Christmas cards yet?
Listen, we had a request. Somebody wants an all-day Christmas card already, and I'm really digging that.
We took the morning show Christmas cards yesterday.
Well, I'm just saying, we have to make that happen. Even if we go rogue and do it ourselves, which could be more fun. We'll be right back. KMOJ, our friends from the People Station are going to join us here when we come back. Stay with us. And welcome back to All Day Live. It's 12:22 on this Wednesday. Thanks for being a part of our afternoon. Hopefully you stay with us because we've got a lot of good content this afternoon, including this interview that I'm really excited about. A lot of you know it as the People's Station, and it's been that way for almost 5 decades now. But there are some pretty big changes in store for KMOJ. Plans for a light rail extension means that this community-based radio station actually has to move and build its own home. Joining me now is Minnesota Broadcasting Hall of Famer, KMOJ General Manager Freddie Bell. Thanks for joining us.
It's my pleasure. Good to be with you this afternoon.
It's great to see you.
I've got something for you.
You do?
Yes, a pair of headsets, old school, just in case you need them.
You have no idea, Freddie. I'm like, I hope he's not on right now because he's like gotta be just going, what are we doing here? It's this, and yeah. Thank you for that.
I feel your pain.
Right? You know, sometimes you just improvise. But you know what? Old school is the only way to go. I'm with you on that. Let's take us back a little bit. When you first realized that this light rail project would be expanding, and that meant that you would have to move. Initially, what were your your thoughts?
Well, I wanted to know, and thanks for having me on, I wanted to know how far it was going to extend, and they said, well, it's only 35 feet into your building. I thought, okay, Houston, we've got a problem.
Yeah.
So that's when we started scrambling, trying to determine what would be next.
Okay. And so where are you now in sort of that process, thinking about what is next? Has it settled enough in your mind where you're at peace with this? Are you still having a lot of concern?
I'm as much at peace as I can be, because our board of directors and some community leaders that we've been talking to have come up with an idea that we've fully embraced that will generate a forever home for KMOJ, and we're really excited about that. What does that mean? Well, for almost 50 years, we've been at one facility or another, leased space, rented space, sometimes no space. And I believe this has been the longest time we've been in any one place in our existence. So thanks to Senator Champion, with his urging, we've decided to lay down some deep roots, Amy, and we're doing that on the north side with our brand new forever home. And there's an unveiling next week. And it's a message not only to our community, but for the next prince or the next time of the world, the next broadcasters, those who need a new telex for television, whatever it might be. We've got that place for them, and a community gathering place.
So can we talk more in detail about this, the space that you have found, the land, where it is, and then, let's talk more specifically about what do you want this to look like?
Well, I won't get into what it will look like, but I can tell you that mentally I've already seen it. It's a 2-story structure, 10,000 square feet, which sits on an 18,000 square foot plot of land. If you're familiar with where Lowry and Oliver is, it's right at that intersection, cat-a-corner to a church. And for what we've been able to see and a long time search, this is the ideal place for us to lay down roots and call it home, our forever home. And I couldn't be more excited about it. I'm more excited for the community and what it will mean for the future of broadcasting and communication for this community.
And Freddie, do you see it as a building to house a radio station in your mind, in your dreams? Do you see it as more of like a gathering space and a place to have events and things like that? What are you thinking?
I'm thinking yes, yes, and yes. So it's for broadcasting. We have our 2 signals that we have, the ICE, Minnesota's Coldest Music. That's our hip hop station, our legacy station, KMOJ, which we're really excited about. And also podcast studios, and then whatever the next generation of communication happens to be, I believe we'll be well positioned to take advantage of that and really lean into communications at its highest level with state-of-the-art equipment, and also an ear toward making sure that we're on the leading edge of communication, whatever that happens to be. It's podcasting today. We don't know what the next phase will be. We have an idea, but we will be there.
Dreams cost money, as you know. How will this be paid for? Is the city, county, do you get any help since they're essentially, forcing you to move in this?
Well, there's a lot of help available to us, and we're at the very beginning of our capital campaign. This project is a $17 million project, and we're looking for help anywhere we can get it. There are people who are really supportive and have been over the years for KMOJ, from artists to foundations, private industry, the state of Minnesota, the city of Minneapolis-St. Paul, and we're asking for all of those forces to come together. And we're doing it a little bit in an unorthodox way, Amy, in that we're involving our community as well as these entities that I just mentioned together, and we're raising the money together. It's a community effort, and we thought, well, why not do it all together? Why not involve our community and the big money people at the same time, at the same table? Because that's the way it's always been. We've been listening and then giving that information to our communities over the years, and this is no different. So on the 15th, next week, next Wednesday, we'll pull the cover back at 11 o'clock, and fully engage this community, fully engage the business community, fully engage the state of Minnesota, the city of Minneapolis and St. Paul, and anyone else who wants to get involved with a community station that is legacy, that has been with us for almost 50 years, who are really concerned about being that voice, being that community gathering space. There'll be space for that in the new facility, to have our own block parties, but we also just want to make sure that that voice is never silenced in this community.
I actually, we're going to break this into a couple segments if you like, because there's so much I want to talk to you about with regards to community and your impact there and what KMOJ means to the community. But can you quickly just give me a little bit of a rundown of where people, so is it on the 15th, just so everybody knows, at 11 a.m.? Where can people go? Just let us know.
The easiest way is to go to our website, KMOJFM.com, and you'll see a flag to the right when you go in. You can click there. That'll take you to Eventbrite. And RSVP is a free event, but we're just trying to get an idea of how many people are coming.
Okay. Excellent. Let's talk more. Do you mind if we take a quick break and then continue? Do you have time?
I have time if you have time.
I have time. Let's hope my equipment keeps going, and as long as that does, we're good. Why don't we? I know you're
Amy,
right.
I got you.
I know. Thank you, Freddie. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, more with Freddie, KMOJ, big changes ahead, and just excited to talk more about their impact in the community. If you don't know, please stay with us for the rest of this conversation. It's they are the heartbeat in so many ways of our community. We'll be right back. And welcome back. We want to continue our conversation with KMOJ General Manager Freddie Bell, kind enough to stick with us here for a few more minutes. I was hoping that Q Bear was going to join you, but that's not going to happen. Is that right? Gonna break my heart?
I don't know. I thought he was joining, but...
well, maybe he'll pop in. Maybe he'll pop in. I'd heard that there was a possibility, so we'll see. But, I mean, you talk about somebody who's been there for decades and is so integral in the community. So many of you have just been there, and you've been, you know, in the trenches, and public trust is it's so hard to get, and it's so easy to lose. I'm curious how you feel that you've done over the decades in weathering that.
If I could give us a report card or a grade, I think we've done well. We've done well through different moves just with our radio station, through police concerns, demonstrations in our communities, And by the time George Floyd, the situation evolved, we were already well equipped to tell the story in a way that only we could tell it. And it's a very important story, but it's not something that you can just pick up and do overnight and expect to do it well. We've got a great cast of citizen journalists like Sam Simmons, Al Flowers, and the list goes on. Even Attorney General Keith Ellison got his start here in broadcasting. Shonda Smith Baker is another, who is now the president of the St. Paul and Minnesota Foundation. We have some deep roots here, and we're expert at storytelling because our citizen journalists come from our community. Who better, Amy, to tell the stories of what's happening in our communities than the people who come from this community?
You know, it's interesting. And one of the things that I think is so unique about what you can bring is, unlike sort of more traditional media, your role is different in that you can have much more open, raw conversations without kind of worrying about being politically correct or offending somebody, or you just kind of talk about how people are feeling and what they're doing in the community. It's so important, especially now. Have you seen that kind of play out in the community in your interactions?
It is a community that's wounded by what's going on. We don't take political sides, but it's really difficult to go through what we're seeing right now happen not only in our community. And you can think about the Annunciation Church. You can think about what's going on from Washington, D.C. I can remember sitting at this desk when January 6th happened, and our listeners were asking us, what's going on? Tell us more about what is happening. And it's the first place they go to. And frankly, I'm happy about that. I'm not happy about the difficult situations that happen. But like in any family, you have to have difficult conversations. And we are really good at facilitating those kinds of conversations without political affiliations or taking one side or the other. We're just presenting it as it is. If it's 11 o'clock and you should be home at night, that's where we say it. There's no politics behind that, and that's what we pride ourselves in, Amy.
Yeah, and if people have never listened to the programming, or if they think, oh, it's just music, or you know, they should know that the programming that you do is really, I think, the maybe the richest part of what you do. And I know there are programs that I listen to on my way home, even though I may not understand completely the perspective, or it may not affect me directly. It's just, I think, good for all of us to hear from different people how they're seeing things. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's a great opportunity to talk about some of the programming that you guys offer too.
It's amazing. More than 90 hours, and when we just did the last quarterly check, we're more than 100 hours of just public service programming. And we're talking about finance, we're talking about health, we're talking about civic concerns, we're talking about national concerns, we're talking about your children. Do you know where your children are at 10 o'clock? We've talked about carjackings, we've talked about education just this morning with Dr. Lisa Sells Adams about how we're recognizing different ethnic groups throughout the Minneapolis public school system. We talked about the arts with Hennepin Museum. I mean, it runs the gambit, but I'm really excited about the 90 to 100 plus hours each month of just talking about what impacts you, what impacts your life, how are you going to manage your money, what's the price of groceries these days, what are you having to do if you're a federal employee and you might be missing a paycheck. With our financial fitness shows, with our health programs with Clarence Jones, the Voices of the African American Community with Sam Simmons on Friday night. You can't miss that. And then, of course, Conversations with Shonda, which is on a couple of times a week. We try to cover it all, Amy, and if we can hook you in, I think the music sometimes is a hook. If you listen to a song that you like, maybe you'll stick around a little longer and listen to what's really important to you and your family and those you love, and maybe even where you work.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think yesterday I was listening to a segment on, they were talking about vaccinations, and then the financial fitness is the one that, is on when I'm driving home. And again, it's interesting because especially, as a journalist or just in conversations, so many of us, if you don't intersect ever with people who aren't like you, or people of color, or people you aren't normally around, we like to talk a lot about people and what they need, but to be able to hear from these communities themselves and hear what they're thinking and what they really need, it just kind of takes it to another level. So, kudos to you guys for just continuing these conversations and bringing that kind of programming. And it's in real time too. Like you said, you have the ability to talk about furloughs or things that are happening right now too. So
exactly. This morning, a lady called us from Chicago, and she said she grew up listening to KMOJ for 39 years.
Oh, wow.
And she heard that we're ready to take this next step in this evolution, and she wants to be right there for us. It's just amazing. Dr. Michael Osterholm, who has been with us throughout the pandemic, who gave us that arm around the shoulder as a doctor would, that lets you know that everything is going to be okay. Dr. Nathan Chomolo. I mean, it's Miriam Roby. The list is long. We have deep roots in this community, and it's funny. Not funny, but it's great that our community is taking care of itself. We have the professionals, we have the ma and the pops, we have the people who will call us Amy at 2 o'clock in the morning when we do a turnaround that's taking the station off the air for 10 minutes to just recalibrate. And they go, "Ready? Did you know you're off the air?" Yes, that's planned, but thank you very much. That's the kind of loyalty that we have here. And we just want people to get on board. If they've not supported us before, Congress has taken, not Congress, but the White House has taken away our public funding, which is more than 20% of what we need to operate. We've got to find creative ways to replace that. But, as I told you earlier, I've seen the best for this radio station. We're experiencing it, and each day is coming more and more into light. But we need people to help us to get there. We're smart enough to know that we can't do it alone. We've never done it alone. But we need partners to help us to realize this dream, because as we go, so goes our community.
Wow, so many years of promoting unity in the community. You just, again, thank you for all that you have done, and we'll continue to talk to you and let people know about progress and how things are going. I know the timetable is you have some time, right? Your current lease goes to is it 30, something like that? 2030? Yes,
our lease is up in 2030, and the light rail should be running by then. But we're positioned, if we have to leave before then, we've got plans to take care of the radio station and have continuous broadcasting. Now, let me just say this. If we can make it through a pandemic without missing a minute of broadcast time, a light rail with the sparks coming through, that's nothing for us. We can do this, but we can do it together. That's the whole thing. We didn't do it by ourselves before, and we certainly can't do it by ourselves now. And we need people like you, voices with your wonderful program and the team that you have around you. That's what it takes. That's what it takes. And I still have my headsets for you if you need it.
Thank you. I so appreciate that. Thank you for your time, and let's just keep talking. Let's continue to spread the word and let people know this is an institution, really, in our community. And if you don't know about it, check it out. People can stream it, right? Doesn't matter. You don't have to be here in the city. You can stream.
That's right. Just download it, search for KMOJ or 89.9, and you can get both of our stations. And if you can, let us know that you're coming next Wednesday, 11 o'clock. Amy, we'd love to have you there.
Yeah, well, we're on live at noon, so if we can catch the tail end of that even on our newscast here, we would love to do that. So maybe we can catch up with you next week.
Do it live from the event.
Or that. I would love. Maybe, the technology will be better there, right? You'll hook me up with those headphones and we'll just make it work. Freddie Bell, thank you for your time today, sir. Really appreciate it. It's always a pleasure to talk to you.
I'm so grateful to have this time with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, take care. We'll talk soon. All right, let's take another break here, and when we come back, we've got more headlines for you, more to cover as we're already rounding into this 1 o'clock hour, and All Day Live continues right after this very peaceful moment from Lake Harriet. All right, welcome back to All Day Live. Well, Halloween right around the corner. It's really going to be here before you know it. Are you thinking about costumes? It's always just, you know, it can get a little stressful. Maybe you already have a costume for your kiddos. Maybe you're still looking. Well, if you don't want to spend a lot of money on something that they're probably, let's face it, only going to wear maybe once, maybe twice, St. Paul has you covered. Our Lauren and Drago went out there today at the Public Works Waste and Recycling Center. Is it true we're recycling Halloween costumes, Lauren?
Yes, that's absolutely true. program that my mom would have appreciated when me and my sisters were growing up, because you're right. You get a Halloween costume, you probably wear it once, and in Minnesota half the time you got a coat over top of it. So it could be a little heartbreaking to spend hundreds of dollars on costumes. That is what the city of St. Paul is doing here, a costume and party supply swap. It's going on all of October. There's some really cool stuff for kids and adults. You want to be a skeleton, you can be a skeleton. Look at this. What is this? Is this Paw Patrol? I'm not super familiar with Paw Patrol, but it looks like it. A lot of costumes here. We also have accessories here that people have just dropped off. This is only the second day. And basically, that's it. You can come here to the building, drop off Halloween supplies, decor, costumes, pick anything up. No cost. Sarah Haas is here to tell me about it. Solid Waste and Recycling Program Administrator. Is that it?
Yep,
oh my goodness, we got it. So nice to talk to you today and learn all about this. Tell me why did you guys come up with this idea to do the swap?
We started doing swaps in 2023 to get usable materials out of the landfill or from being disposed of. So we started simple internally doing like a holiday swap, white elephant type gift, and have expanded to arts and crafts, media swaps, and Halloween swaps. Jillian on our team leads our swaps and does a great job connecting with community partners to...
Oh, Jillian, do you mean this shark behind me?
The shark. She brings a lot of joy to it.
Yeah, we have a public works worker here too, so we're getting in the Halloween spirit. And for folks who want to get involved in this, I can imagine there are tons of families who don't want to go back to a big box store and spend hundreds of dollars on new costumes. What do they need to know? You do not need to be a St. Paul resident to get involved.
That's right. You don't need to be a St. Paul resident. It's running this Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. and 11 to 2, Saturday and Sunday, and every Wednesday from 11 to 2 as well. You've got at our solid waste and recycling facility.
You've got a lot of dates available for people to come here. We're right on Sycamore Street, just north of downtown St. Paul. What have you guys been hearing from people? Because you've been doing all sorts of swaps. I heard you guys swapped garden tools and other things like that. Are you hearing from families who are kind of, have questions about where things can go and where they can go to recycle things like this?
Yeah, we get a lot of questions during the swaps on the materials that we have, but other materials. Jill works really hard to make sure every item has an outlet after the swap. Nothing is being thrown away. The coolest one we had is after our arts and crafts swaps, there was a community group that got together and started a knitting club using the yarn and making materials out of it. I myself also made hats and handed them out, so it's really cool to see what happens with the products later on, and we do hear people reaching out to us to let us know that it's gone to good use.
Oh, that is fantastic to hear, that everything, that's in your home that you like, it's nice, it can be used, but you don't have a use for it anymore. It can be made used here. Tell me about the building we're in. You guys just moved into this place a couple months ago.
Yeah, so we started our 10% city garbage collection in April 1. We moved in on March 15th in the new Public Works Solid Waste and Recycling facility on Sycamore. We have big dreams in a big space here, so it houses our operation and our office staff, our reuse swaps, and then also we're hoping to expand and do some educational exhibits and some cool things.
Yeah, I've been learning all about the cool resources that are available for St. Paul residents and beyond. Let's walk this way, Sarah. I want to show folks how big this space is and just to articulate what kind of big dreams you have. So right here, these are some borrowable garbage, recycling, and compost collectors, kind of like this. So if you have a grad party or a wedding or something where you are going to have a lot of people there and you need to recycle, you need to compost, you can rent it from the city of St. Paul. And then take a look at this, Amy. This is where the magic happens. We're inside a big concrete box now, so we might lose a little bit of reception, but lots of garbage and recycling cans here for the city of St. Paul. But Sarah, you have big plans for this space, including some furniture that's going to get refurbished.
Yeah, we want to really expand the swap option, and as we pick up illegally dumped and bulky item furniture from residents, we want to bring it back here, evaluate it for reuse, open a low-cost store for residents to shop, and then the furniture that cannot be reused will be recycled with our partner Second Chance.
Amazing. And I'm sure you get questions all the time from residents about, I have a mattress, I have a couch, I have a chair, I can't throw it away, I don't have the space to recycle it. And this is going to help fill in the gaps, I'm sure, for a lot of items that might not normally have a home that makes sense.
Yeah, it's true. It's about 40% of the materials that we pick up in bulky item are furniture. So it'll be a huge way to divert material from being disposed of.
Wow. Okay, Sarah, so if people want to get involved, if they have questions about recycling, you guys have a good space online for them to head to?
We do, stpaul.gov/garbage.
Oh, easy. Okay. Thank you so much for your time, Sarah. Amy, I'll send it back to you. I want to let you know that if you want a Halloween costume, or if you have a ton of Halloween costumes or decor or accessories, or Shark, you can't hide from me. You can bring them right here to the facility on Sycamore Street. It's going on today, every Wednesday through October, and this Saturday too, which I believe is National Costume Swap Day. This Saturday, so perfect timing.
Fantastic. That live shot took a village, and we appreciate everybody there. Bye, Sarah. Thank you,
The city of
Lauren.
St. Paul. This team helped me out today. Yeah,
That's right.
You got it.
All right, take care. See you later. All right, let's see. Why don't we do this really quick? I wanted to remind folks about something that we're doing on Friday that hopefully you can participate in. If not, it'll be recorded and we'll post it and you can watch it later. But we are going to be hosting a live Q&A about Medicare and all of the Medicare Advantage changes that are coming after the first of the year. So again, Medicare for those 65 and older. We've been talking about this for a couple of weeks. Some big changes ahead, and we want to make sure that all of your questions get answered. Many of you have sent us questions already. Thank you. Very specific questions, and we hope to get those answered for you. The person who's going to be joining us is representing the state of Minnesota and a hotline that they have, Amber, where this is a number you can call. It's the Minnesota Aging Pathways hotline is what it is now. Used to be Senior Linkage hotline. Yeah. Same number, different name, but that's a number.
Same idea.
Yeah, same idea. You call it, no skin in the game. They can just help you figure out what you have, what you might need going into the new year, because there are some really big changes coming. We want to make sure everybody has the coverage that they need.
And if you can't watch this segment on Friday, Amy, we will get this clipped. We will get it posted online.
Yes.
So even if you can't tune in, if you have a question, fire it our way. You will still get your answer, and you will be able to see that when we're all done with that. So
go ahead and put maybe Medicare in the subject line. That'll really help us filter out from some of the other emails, and then we'll do that. Right now is the time to research. You can't make any changes to your plan until October 15th. So right now is the research time and to get all these answers together. So if you call the number, if you don't get what you need, or if you just want to tune in or watch the segment after Friday at 1, that's when we'll do it live and then post it.
Yep.
So that'll be good. I'm looking forward to that. So many people interested in that. Oh boy, we've had just a flow of questions and comments on that. So
I mean, it's confusing, right? Like there's a lot to digest. It's a complex issue. So hopefully we can get a bit of clarity, right?
Yeah, bottom line, you will have insurance. Your Medicare will be there. It's Medicare Advantage that is being affected and the things that come with that. So we'll talk about that on Friday.
All right, Amy, I got my eye on a couple live events here. 1 o'clock, we're looking at the governor is going to be talking about vaccine availability in this state here with the First Lady. So I'm hoping to bring that to you guys live at 1. Also taking a couple questions about a few things. So Corin's in the room there, Corin Hockert, and he's going to join us when he's done with the governor. So we'll hit that first, do some other news, bring Corin in a little bit later. So while we wait for that to get going, I want to squeeze in one last little break this hour. Sound good?
Let's do it. Yeah, we'll do that. Come back with more headlines. Stay with us.
Oh, Duluth Zen.
Ooh, oh, I love this. Keep watching. And welcome back to All Day Live. Let's listen in to Governor Walz at an event where he's talking about, I believe, COVID vaccines and availability. Let's listen.
The message here is very simple. Minnesotans need to make their decisions about vaccines. We're not going to deny you access to life-saving vaccines. We're going to make it as simple as possible to receive those vaccines. We're going to coordinate through the Commerce Department with your insurance companies to make sure these vaccines are made affordable to you and covered by your insurance company. All of those things go back to why vaccines have saved over 154 million lives and created countless opportunities for people to avoid being sick, and we've seen it in many cases, long-term injuries from this. So I'm just really grateful for the work that's done by all of the folks in this space. I'm really grateful for the Minnesota Department of Health that was very quick to clarify Minnesota's rules, very quick to clarify that we disagree vehemently with the misinformation, false information, confusing information being put out by federal authorities. So here in Minnesota, rest assured, the science is being followed, all the safety precautions are in place, your freedoms of healthcare decisions is being kept in place, and we'll continue to make sure that those access stays available. With that, I'd like to have Commissioner Cunningham explain a little bit about what you'll need to do or where we're at on vaccinations, and maybe a little bit about what this COVID flu season may look like. Commissioner?
Thank you so much. Thank you, Governor. The Governor has said it all this morning. We want to make sure that all Minnesotans maintain access to vaccination if they want it. I agree that it has been a confusing time, but Minnesota got out early in September to clarify, which is why you saw the standardized order come out, to make sure that pharmacists, where many, many Minnesotans get their vaccine, could still administer COVID vaccinations. COVID vaccinations, all of the professional associations are in alignment, say that anybody who wants it over 6 months of age and older should be able to get it. With the CDC coming out and agreeing to ACIP's guidelines to get it with shared decision-making with your provider. That is what we always recommend. If you have any questions, talk to your healthcare provider. Go to them as someone who works with you, who knows the conditions that you live with every day, who knows you and your family well, whether you have a high-risk adult in your household. Talk to them. They will say, most likely, to seriously think about having a COVID shot. It has saved millions of lives over time. It is available at your doctor. It is available at pharmacies. It's available at local public health departments. So one of your best defenses against respiratory disease this season is to be vaccinated. Thank you.
We'll be glad to take a few questions, and we're going to get vaccinated. So we'll just stay on topic first, then we can do the shots, and I'll do some off topic after that. Let the commissioner go. Anyone?
Should people be talking to their doctor first before they get these vaccinations, as RFK and now the CDC have recommended?
So people can go into their pharmacist and have a conversation also with their pharmacist and get vaccinated there.
I mean, what does the research show us? I mean, do they need to have that conversation with the doctor?
And as we were coming in, and you will see here, with when you sign up and you do a consent to have vaccine, there's an opportunity to talk about your concerns, about your fears, to allay misinformation. This is a time that is very confusing for people because there are a lot of different narratives about the safety of vaccination out there. What we know, and when we look at the science and when we look at it with our professional associations, our vaccines are safe and effective and save lives. And so I would encourage anyone who has a question to reach out to a healthcare provider, whether it is a pharmacist or your primary care provider, and have that conversation. And as the governor said, go to a trusted source, not social media, not your cousin, right? Not Facebook. Go to a trusted source who is trained and who can answer those questions and help you think about what is best for you.
Commissioner, do we have a sense of how severe COVID and the flu are this season?
So at this point, we're still looking at that data to come in. It's still relatively early in the season, but we know, and part of the reason that we encourage and follow the Academy of Pediatrics guidelines was because for the young children, the children under 2 years of age, half of the hospitalizations were in kids who did not have a pre-existing condition. And so it is something that families should particularly think about for the youngest among them, also for the elders who are also particularly vulnerable, and certainly anybody else with a high-risk condition. But in general, COVID has been found to be safe and efficacious for all of us, and so that is why the guidelines from multiple medical societies say, please think about getting your COVID shot.
Commissioner, a lot of people are confused about not only whether to get the shot or not, but if they do get it, do they have to pay for it? Is it still being paid for? Right. And this is having the effect, potentially, of suppressing the number of people who are going to get it. How big of a problem is that?
I think that is a problem. And so I would love for our insurance plans to come out and be very clear with their members about the coverage for COVID vaccines. With them covered by ACIP, with the CDC signing off on ACIP's recommendations, they should be covered because that is what insurance follows. But certainly in Minnesota, even if ACIP departs, I think we can have plans, and they have said to us even before the ACIP recommendations came out, that they were still covering those vaccines for this year. We always recommend, just as I say, talk to your doctor, to call up your insurance plan to make sure you're not caught with a bill. But my understanding is they are paying for it.
Just as a quick follow-up, so if a Minnesotan is sitting out there going, I'm hearing this from RFK Jr. and the CDC, but I'm hearing this from Minnesota health officials, who should people listen to?
Us. 100%. And this is not he said, she said. Yes, it's us. And this isn't me. This is not me saying this. This is every major medical group, every major research group, Mayo Clinic, everyone, all of the facts saying these are safe, you should do them. They are providing you no data for saying no. They're providing you nothing other than a gut feeling that they have against this. I haven't ever witnessed anything like this in my time. I don't know, Commissioner, if you have. But I think Tom's question was really good. The confusion is part of the plan. That is not a bug in the system. That is a feature of what they're trying to do. They simply do not believe in these things. They have bought into these myths. It's the same thing around the Tylenol and autism. There is no data to support what they're saying. So this is all incredibly confusing to people. I'm not telling you to listen to me. I'm telling you to listen to every medical group in the country. I'm asking you to listen to folks like at the Mayo Clinic, to the researchers, and they are going to provide you on the other side nothing to support their reasoning for not getting these things other than a personal belief.
Governor, are you surprised to find yourself in this position on a variety of issues of contradicting and challenging the federal government as head of the state government day after day?
Yeah, every day. This is not the way it should have been, that we had partners in this. And this wasn't it if we disagreed, and I said this with other administrations. We may have disagreed on some of the policy issues. We never disagreed on the legalities and the procedures that went forward, that we could count on this. Having conversations with folks on another unrelated topic, but it's very similar on this, the confusion around FEMA and FEMA's requirements. FEMA's no longer going to be there to provide some of the housing and some of that assistance that we've come to. So what we're doing is we are simultaneously planning on that the state is going to have to pick up for this. And I think it's just a pure blessing as a country that we've not seen a hurricane season ramp up yet. It may come later, but from all the experts out there, it's the same type of situation. Now, maybe when it comes to vaccines, you know, it's not as apparent on this, but I absolutely know for a fact, if you look at the Lancet study and the number of, if they're telling people not to get this, certainly in that cohort of folks who may be confused and not get it, they are going to kill people doing this. And I am just flabbergasted by folks who are sworn to an oath to protect folks and make sure that this is out there. This is one of the greatest human achievements of the last, maybe ever, are vaccinations. And people are like, oh, kids were fine before we had vaccinations. Kids were not fine. Infant mortality rates were off the charts. Our children live today in main part because they get good prenatal care, they get vaccinations, and we're on top of these things. And I would just add, on something like measles, for the families who have immunocompromised children who can't get certain vaccines because of where they are, those children are depending on herd immunity to keep it out of their circulation. They don't have that protection now when we start to drop our numbers. And Minnesota's always been very, very good about this, but like I've said here, we have folks that serve upstairs in this chamber. They're asking us to get rid of all requirements for vaccinations at school. That is reckless and dangerous. So yes, this is an amazing thing to me. The good news is what I would say, the chaos, the things that they're trying to create, the things of trying to get people spun up. Here in Minnesota, we're following the science, we follow the data, our providers are there ready to provide, and things are normal and calm, just like they've always been, to go out and get your flu vaccine. We've added COVID to that because it's a new respiratory illness. This is things that in the past were not controversial. They weren't even partisan at all. This is just a new thing. But here in Minnesota, as you're going to see us, we're going to get safe, effective vaccines to keep folks healthy.
Commissioner, may I ask, if you press your doctor, safe, 100% safe, the doctor says, no, nothing's 100% safe.
Right.
There's a small risk. You might have an anaphylactic reaction.
Right.
You might, with COVID, have one in certain population of viruses. Small risks exist. So when you say safe, there are risks there. Can you help put in context those risks? They do exist.
Thank you. The risks, though, when you look at a population level, are relatively rare. And so you have to balance them against the risk of hospitalization. You have to balance them against the risk of long-term COVID. Because what the data also shows is that people who are vaccinated who actually end up getting COVID, they are less likely to have long course COVID. So, and we have to think about that, because that is really debilitating for people. The other risks that I would encourage people to think about are the risks to others, right? You have to think about your family, right? You have to think about the people you work with. You have to think about the people you live with. Certainly in congregate settings, certainly in long-term care, other places where people are living together, right? We want to think about our unhoused, people who are in shelters. We got to think about everybody as Minnesotans, and that's what public health does. And I think that's what Minnesotans do. Right? I think they think about their community. And so people often have concerns, right? They often need that counsel. They often need time to answer a question. And I would encourage everybody to do that. I really believe information is power. It helps you make the right decision for you and your family, your loved ones, and your community. And so yes, they're there. It's not that there's zero ever adverse incidents, but most of the times that doesn't happen.
That's a technique, too, I might add, folks, because the folks who are the naysayers, that's a technique, because they're right. You're right. It's a good point to bring up. It's not 100%. But I can tell you, statistically, my chance of being injured in the drive from my residence to here was higher in that car because of car accidents, statistically. It doesn't mean I'm not going to drive here. So I do hear you on that, but it's a statistic that I'll hear that, well, you know that it's not perfect. And then when it does happen to someone, which there are those are certainly tragic situations, but that's the part of trying to reduce those odds. But the fact of the matter is, as the commissioner said, the risk of COVID, the risk of long COVID far outweighs the risk that you have a reaction. And by many people, you already know fairly early on whether you're going to have these. And the questionnaire I filled out asked me many of those questions for the provider to be able to determine maybe I shouldn't give this person a shot.
All right, we've been listening to Governor Walz and the health commissioner from MDH. We're going to dip out of that, and we'll try to go back to it later when they take some more general questions. The governor does from reporters there. We're watching one other live event right now that's happening in Chicago. Our Ahmad Hicks is covering this for us. This is Big Ten Media Days that's happening. That is Gopher women's basketball head coach Dawn Plitza-White, and she's there taking some questions right now. Also, Mara Braun and Amaya Battle, a couple of the players that we can hear from today as well. So we'll have much more on this coming up later tonight. But Coach Plitza-White taking some questions there as they're looking forward to hopefully a really great season with everybody healthy. All right, we're going to do a check of the weather, and when we come back, we are going to circle back on lane splitting, lane filtering. It's been going on with motorcycles here for a couple of months now. So how is it going? We're going to check in with the state of Minnesota when we come right back. Stay with us.
Well, it was a cold morning this morning. We got down into the chilly zone, that is for sure. All sorts of frost and freeze concerns greeted us as we went on out for our early morning hours. Let's review some of them now that we're back under a clearish sky. We got down into the deep freeze for some. Take a gander. 29 in Andover, our chilled spot this morning. These are some of our morning lows. Got down to 28 in Scandia, 28 in Somerset this morning. Widespread temperatures frozen in Rogers and Rockford, 33 in Maple Plain, 33 in Maple Grove, 32 in Robbinsdale. Getting inside our ring of burbs there. 35 in North St. Paul, some nice frosty conditions. 33 in Egan and Burnsville, and 28 down in Lakeville. Even the South Metro, 31 in Rosemount, 30 in Jordan, 32 in Carver, and 34 in Victoria. So frosts and freezes even inside the metro, and of course a wider view shows you the frozen 20s all across northern sections and central sections of Minnesota. St. Cloud, Cambridge, New Richmond, Eau Claire, Wilmer, Hutchinson, all frozen. Faribault, Owatonna also in the 20s. So those frost and freeze frost advisories, freeze warnings certainly were well played. Today, though, rapid rebound. We jumping through the 50s and into the 60s this afternoon. Plenty of sunshine. Enjoy crisp, bright, and beautiful seasonable midweek mellow for us as our one cold morning is now behind us. Now we go back to just kind of seasonable or even seasonable plus mornings. 40s tomorrow morning, perfectly average, and then 40s become 50s for the mornings as we go for the sunny 60s for a couple of days, and then we flirt around 70 for a while. 70 takes us into the weekend. Maybe a few clouds keep us in the upper 60s on Sunday, then right back to 70 again by Monday of next week. Fox 9 All Day Live continues. We're back right after the break.
And welcome back. Driving on Minnesota roads looks a little bit different than it did just a few months ago. It was July 1st. Motorcyclists were given the green light to filter and split through traffic. And it's been an adjustment, I think, for them. Also, obviously, for drivers who still have a lot of questions. Joining me now is Jay Bach, the state's motorcycle safety administrator. Thanks for joining us, Jay.
Glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Can we do just a quick refresher, please? Let's do some definitions here. Lane filtering.
So the legislation talks about lane sharing, which has two different components to it. That is splitting and filtering. So the first is splitting.
Okay.
That allows motorcyclists to travel and share a lane up to 25 miles an hour if the traffic is moving. And filtering is 15 miles an hour when traffic is stopped. So the fastest that anybody should be using these permissions, split or filter, should be 25 miles an hour. Once the motorcyclist hits the 25 mile an hour mark, they need to go back to a lane assignment.
Okay, got it. And then really quickly, remind us when it is not legal to do these things. There are a couple of scenarios, right?
Yeah, there's 4 different areas in which it was specifically mentioned in the statute. The first is the approach of, the driving through, or the exit of a roundabout.
Okay.
In a school zone, you can't do it if there's a double lane in front of a school. A work zone, when that traffic gets funneled to one lane. And then lastly, when you have an on-ramp where they've got queued traffic, during busy times, they go side by side, and we didn't want a motorcycle going between those lanes. But the good news with that is there's often a high occupancy lane that a motorcycle can use. So take advantage of that.
Oh, for sure. Okay. So first of all, I guess, what has the reaction been so far? I mean, have people been calling, contacting your office? You've kind of been a front person for this as far as the state is concerned. What have people said?
Well, we're getting mixed on, we've gotten some positive remarks, we've gotten some negative remarks, but the thing that we've got the most of is just questions. How do I do this? When can I do this? Am I doing this properly? I saw someone doing it this way or that way. Is that the proper use of the law? So we're just trying to take an education approach to everybody on our roadways. And, we're getting phone calls and comments from motorists and motorcyclists.
Anything beyond what we kind of just talked about as far as what's legal, what's not, the speed limits? Are there any additional questions that people have that you feel like we could answer?
It does need to be on a roadway where there are 2 lanes of traffic going in the same direction.
Okay.
So if there's oncoming traffic, you're not permitted to split or filter. But if there's 2 lanes going in the same direction, it is permissible.
Okay. We don't have any data on this from Minnesota. This is brand new for us. There are a couple of states, Minnesota and California, that permit lane splitting, although in talking to you, it sounds like it's not apples to apples. There's different speed limits and things, and then 6 states that do the filtering. How will you sort of look at the data here and say this is working, this is not working?
Well, thanks for asking that question. Yes, there are 6 states out there. There's only 2, as you mentioned, California and Minnesota, that allow split and filter. It's important to note, though, that all of these definitions are potentially different from state to state and permission to permission. So if you're traveling somewhere else, or if you're coming to Minnesota in a state that allows it, make sure that you're doing it the way that our state has lined it up within our statute and what we're looking to accomplish. As far as the data goes, we're trying to collect the data. We're changing some of our processes, getting additional information to be able to get accurate data on what splitting and filtering is doing in the traffic flow. It'll be a while before we have any of that of a large enough sample to really put anything in writing or talk about it in an educated way. Yeah. But we need to start somewhere, and that's where we're starting.
Yeah, and just you and I talked yesterday just to let people know, unrelated really directly even to what we're talking about here, but just generally speaking, the number of motorcycle deaths is something that your office tracks here in Minnesota. And I've got the numbers here, but if you wanted to just share those, and if you don't have them at the top of your head, I can also rattle these off too.
We, so far this year we've had 48 fatalities on motorcycles. That's sad news. That's something we take seriously, something we want to try to correct and find ways to lower that number. The good news is at this time last year there was 65 fatalities, and those numbers were down from the prior year. So that trend is encouraging, and hopefully something we can continue to develop.
All right. Yeah, 76 deaths in 2024, 65 and 48 so far this year, compared to 65 this time last year. We really appreciate you coming on. I know there's not like a lot of data that you guys have yet, but really we just wanted to check in and see what reaction has been like, because you're probably going to hear from most of the people here. So thanks for your time today. Appreciate it, Jay.
Glad to do it. Invite me back. I'd love to be a part of this, and I appreciate you spreading the message for us.
For sure. We got to keep reminding people about these rules too. Obviously, I mean, there's some nuances there that people need to know about and get refreshed on. So, thanks, Jay. Have a good one. See you later.
Thank you.
Take care. All right, Amber, do we have a shot still at the Capitol? Okay, looks like Governor Walz is taking more broad questions now, and he may be talking about a special session here, so let's listen in.
I think we owe it to the people of Minnesota to have a resolution before then, but it's a valid point.
What's the likelihood that you will call one way or another?
Well, I think at this, it's hard to tell. I need to get an agreement on this. I need to have it, if we're going to hold a special sessions on safety of our children and safety of our streets and safety on gun violence, we need to talk about guns. And if the folks who hold veto power over this, which they do because of the makeup of the legislature, if they say that's not going to happen, calling a special session is going to be a waste of money and a waste of time if they're not willing to participate honestly about what it's going to take. And again, all I'm asking is this. I believe, and a large number of people believe, that we can do something around these weapons that fire 116 rounds into a church in 90 seconds. High-capacity magazines means you don't have to reload, so there's no chance to interfere with that person doing it. I believe, just like I did with red flag laws, that we could actually save lives if we did that. So I'm asking them to go to the floor, to debate that proposition, and then cast your vote. And if there are 67 in the House, Republicans, who think that's a terrible idea, then just vote 67 noes and it will fail, and that will be the end of this discussion, and we'll have to approach it somewhere else. So there's no mischaracterization here. The very simple part of this is they do not want to have a discussion and a vote on guns. And I say that not belligerently or anything. If I'm wrong, just vote against it. I'm not even getting the opportunity. The parents are not getting the opportunity. The clergy's not getting the opportunity. The doctors are not getting the opportunity. The majority of Minnesotans, when they're polled, are not getting the opportunity to even have that discussion. So I'm going to continue to push them. I'm going to continue to ask. This would all be fixed. Let's just go to the floor. Let's have the vote. It either passes or it fails, and we will move forward. But my commitment is to protect Minnesotans. I knew the data supported red flag laws. I knew that if Minnesota enacted red flag laws, we would not interfere with anyone's Second Amendment rights, and we would save lives. That was a good step forward. Can more be done? Absolutely.
But Governor, it's not even clear that the Democrats, that there's the votes on the Democrat side to pass.
Sure, they can vote however they want to.
But my point of saying that is, it doesn't get to a point where you just have to be transparent with Minnesotans that the votes might not be there on either side, so it's a moot point to have a special session.
But the Democrats aren't saying don't vote. The Democrats are not saying don't have a vote. The Democrats are willing to say we have a vote. Will we lose some of our members? Maybe. That's their conscience. They can vote how they want to. But the Democrats are not saying not have a vote. The Democrats are saying we agree to put this on the floor and have a vote. That's the question. Just have the vote. I don't know how they're going to vote. I don't know. They might all vote against it. The question is, why are we not having a vote on it? And that's.
They say that they're, in the House are not going to bring up such a vote. So, I mean, what?
The House is going to bring up a vote.
The conversation now from what has been happening over the last several
The public, 700 clergy, telling us to have a vote on this. I mean, it's the public's going to ask. It's overwhelmingly popular. I think the recent polling showed it at like 58%. People want to do that, but don't get this very clear. The Democrats may not have the votes. I don't know. But the Democrats are saying, we go into special session, we're going to vote on an assault weapon ban and high-capacity magazines. The Republicans are saying, we are never going to have a vote on high-capacity magazines. That's what they made clear, both in private and publicly. So that's a very different position.
Can I switch gears just for a second?
Sure.
Something that you said yesterday or at the summit, this week, the Sergeant League Summit.
Yeah.
You talked about preparing for the possibility
Yes.
of deployments here. Could you just clarify a little more? I mean, what does preparation look like? Have you heard anything from the
Yeah, and I think this has been going on for quite some time, and where we've seen it, whether it would be in LA, whether it's Portland, or now in Chicago, it's first and foremost starts, what are our legal rights on this? The legal rights of working with the Attorney General, working with other states, what our legal rights would look like. What would that mobilization look like if it were troops outside of Minnesota coming in? What would the chain of command look like? What would happen with our troops? How would we try and make sure we're coordinating to know, it would be nice to know that we have several hundred armed people down in the Loring Park area. Local police should know where they're at and those type of things. We're trying to figure out what would that chain of command and communication look like, and how would we talk to the public? Because I just want to be clear. All of this is meant to be a distraction from a government shutdown, from an economy that's not working, from soybean farmers collapsing, from Epstein files and all of that. This is not meant to make an impact truly on crime, truly on safety in communities. They're pepper spraying Portland Frog. That's the thing that's going on. That is the nonsense that's happening in the midst of this. My goal is to make sure Minnesotans remain calm, know that things are in place. If they do use federal troops, which he can attempt to do, we will challenge in court. If he tries to use the Insurrection Act, we will challenge that. But in the meantime, should he step through those things, do that anyway, here's what we're going to do to make sure that chaos doesn't reign. Minnesotans are going to go about their work. We're going to continue to not play into and give them photo opportunities. Because I don't know what you've seen in Portland. The only chaos I saw was honestly a guy in an inflatable frog suit getting pepper sprayed. Or you've seen in Chicago people being inadvertently shot, or people being detained in ways that far exceed the authority of it. So I think the preparations are making sure our legal aspects are there, what we're going to do to make sure our operation continues, what our responsibility is to respond to them. And I once again, as I mentioned yesterday at this event, when there was a federal overreach by the Biden administration, I, as the co-chair of the Council of Governors, organized a letter pushing back and demanding that the Biden administration changed their positions to state sovereignties and rule over our National Guard. All 50 governors signed that letter, and it is the exact same situation you're seeing now. And in that case, the Biden administration was trying to remove National Guard troops from the Space Force and put them in the active force. It wasn't a proactive troops in the streets type of thing, but it was an infringement on state sovereignty and control of governors over the National Guard. Every single governor, including Greg Abbott in Texas, said this is an outrageous breach of what our authority is over the National Guard. Now all of a sudden they're silent and they can't say anything. So we're preparing with governors. I'm still trying to get them on board to say, look, what was good for the Biden administration should be good for the Trump administration, that you do not have the authority to do this, and you're not adding to the safety, you're adding to the confusion. So that's what's happening right now.
Governor, can you just comment quickly on the government shutdown? Has anything changed from the last time you spoke about it in terms of
Yeah, I wish I
state services?
Yeah, I wish I had MMB here, and we're monitoring what all of you are monitoring. Airport operations and some of those appear to be slowing down. Again, that's a federal operation with TSA and some of the controllers. I think for us, we're still gathering information on it. We're seeing, no responses to things that's not that unusual now if we're trying to ask. I will make sure if we get MMB maybe to get an update this week if we talk to them to see if there's been any change in appropriations, in money coming. We've had the list of where the clawbacks have started to happen separate from the shutdown, and now to understand the shutdown. But again, here we are a week into this chaos. We're talking about immunizations. We're talking about preparing for fall weather. We're getting, we'll be having our name the plow truck contest and getting ready for winter safety and all those things. That's the things that governors and local governments do, not understanding that the federal government in a gross overreach is coming into here. So we're still assessing it, but again, they're shut down. But thank you all. I'm going to give my last plug. Get out there, get your COVID and flu vaccine scheduled, protect yourself and your family. We'll make sure we have a healthy fall here in Minnesota and continue to move forward. So thank you all. First Lady, thanks.
All right, we've been listening to Governor Walz. First part of that was talking about availability and urging folks to get their COVID vaccines. And then the second part of that took some broader questions, and you were able to hear some of that as well. We're going to take a quick break right now. 1:32 is your time. Got a little peaceful moment. I think this is a barge on the Minnesota River. Yes, it's coming here. We'll be right back after a couple of minutes. Stay with us. And we're glad you're back. Time is 1:35 as we go through a couple of the headlines that we're following today, stories we're working on. We know that Minneapolis police are investigating some anti-Semitic graffiti that was found on the Temple Israel Synagogue early this morning. That is home to one of the largest Jewish congregations in the country. Rabbi Marcia Zimmerman shared a letter this morning saying that they found hateful language and imagery early this morning, including anti-Zionist references to the October 7th attacks on Israel. A statement that she put out says that as we mourn the second anniversary of the October 7th attacks, this ugly act of anti-Semitism is particularly painful. We have always lived by the words inscribed above our doors, "My house shall be a house of prayer for all peoples." We remain committed to living our Jewish values, which we proudly pass on to our children, and to the interfaith dialogue that has built meaningful relationships across our city. So also letting folks know that they did a thorough security sweep this morning. They will remain open today as planned. Temple security in place there. Amber's joining here because we got a search warrant on something. We're following a couple of different stories that have to do with schools, right?
Yeah, two of the stories have to do with schools. I've got a search warrant, I've got a guilty plea, and then I have an arrest and charges in the Palisades fire out in Los Angeles.
Yeah,
so
that was
first,
go ahead.
Let's start with White Bear Lake because everyone's been talking about this.
Yep.
We this morning got a look at a search warrant for Kevin Lubke, or sorry, Kelvin. Search warrant trying to get his cell phone from White Bear Lake Police here. Police are saying in the search warrant that they have received several allegations from students' parents saying that he may have sexually assaulted students, received nude pictures from a student there, and had been talking to several teenage girls over text and social media. Amy, Kelvin is the man, the 22-year-old man, who used a fake ID to enroll as a student at the school.
Yeah, he's accused of that. So pretending to be a teenager, attending classes, and then now this warrant detailing some more accusations here. So, okay.
Yeah, some details there. We've got a whole lot of stuff online, including, you know, how this even came to happen, right? The district saying that he had lied on his paperwork to enroll, claiming to be an unaccompanied homeless youth, and the district's required by state law to let unaccompanied youth enroll, even when they can't provide documentation.
Yeah, and they said that he had documentation as well, and it looks like it may have been forged. So interesting to follow that one. And then Richfield, you had an update on a case out of Richfield. Yeah,
so this is a case from back in the spring. This guy, 23-year-old Josh Moten, he was they're calling him a campus supervisor. He kind of had a variety of roles here. So campus supervisor, paraprofessional, he coached some sports there at the middle school in Richfield.
Okay.
Pled guilty this morning to criminal sexual conduct with a minor. The documents here say that he allegedly sexually assaulted a 14-year-old girl inside the school multiple times. Okay. So guilty plea there this morning. He's admitted to this. You know, he told police that he had been talking to the girl over social media and had engaged with her before he was arrested on May 13th. So guilty plea there.
Okay. The other big story that came down here just right before the show when you were trying to scramble to get as much as you could, you and I were both watching this unfold in real time, and it sounds like there has now been an arrest in the Palisades fire. And not only that, but this person, it looks like had been, this is sort of, they said it was just like a malicious, premeditated act.
So a premeditated act here. What I found maybe most interesting, Amy, is that investigators showed us pictures that this guy made with AI. So, Leo, we could show these here. 29-year-old arrested and charged, John Kindernecht, accused of lighting a fire on New Year's Day that just really decimated parts of Los Angeles. And these are the pictures that he had AI, ChatGPT, create for him, showing a burning city.
And if I remember right, this was like even a month before it actually happened. Like this is the pictures that were created. Interesting. Yeah, 12 people died, destroyed more than 6,000 homes and buildings in the Pacific Palisades area. So just kind of, you know, all these months later, that was back in January, and now to kind of have this big of a breakthrough, you know, sometimes you think it's inadvertent campfire or something like that, but now to kind of see what he's accused of here with the images is just pretty
and just
jarring.
Really crazy details all this time later, right? I mean, it's October. This happened in January, so a little bit of closure out there on the West Coast today.
For sure. All right, do we want to check in with Corin really quickly before?
Yeah, I think so. It's kind of a crazy busy day at the Capitol, you know, for an October day, right?
Yeah, we were just showing, obviously we had the governor we took live along with the MDH commissioner. Corin was there in the room, and then it sounds like he was able to take some more questions. We picked up at about the point he was talking about whether a special session may happen or not, Corin, so I don't know if there was anything right before that that he talked about that we may have missed.
No, that was his first segue from the vaccination talk. That was also what we were hearing from a lot of clergy members who are here at the Capitol today. About 50 of them walked into the governor's office here and presented him with a letter. It's a pretty substantial letter here, basically just demanding that he call a special session on gun control, and specifically on high-capacity magazines and assault weapons. And this letter is signed by 750 clergy members from around the state now, and they represent almost all of the counties in Minnesota as well. I looked, and there are about 6,000 clergy all around the state of Minnesota, so this is a pretty good chunk of them. About 1/8 of them are represented in this letter demanding that special session. But if you heard from the governor, you heard him say that, you know, things are not lining up very well for that. He can call the special session, but the chances of getting something passed still seem pretty small. He says Republicans won't even let a lot of these come up for a vote in the tied House, where the Republicans have the leadership roles. He said it's possible they would lose some Democrats' votes, but that all the Democrats support actually having a vote on this. And so that's where we stand right now. He can still call that. He says he's still kind of considering that, but things from his end don't sound hopeful. But these clergy who came here today, the 50 who are here today, the 750 who have signed, are doing 7 days of prayer here at the Capitol. So after they delivered this letter, they went out on the Capitol steps, and at noon every day for the next week, they're going to be out there, and they're going to be praying for this special session to happen.
Yeah, and Corin, if it doesn't end up happening, of course, the regular session starts. You know, is it February? Yeah, February.
That's right. The off-year session starts in February.
So this will. How will this carry over into the regular session? Will it be intensive? Will this, you know, take the time you think of these lawmakers, or will this tell them what they need to know as far as whether or not they're going to get any movement on it?
Well, I would 100% expect bills to be introduced in both the Senate and the House, whether that happens in a special session or in the regular session that starts in February. Whether those get committee hearings in the House where you know, again, Republicans have the leadership roles and they lead all of the committees and get to decide what gets to come up in committees. It's possible that they don't even let a bill like that get a hearing in a committee. But on the Senate side, you know, for the time being at least, the Democrats still have a majority there, and therefore they can bring that up. They can bring it to the Senate floor, throw it over to the House, and you know, kind of demonstrate that there is at least some appetite for doing this. Then again, the Senate is where we most likely have purple district Democrats who may not feel like they can survive the politics of voting for this, and therefore, you know, they may not be able to pass a bill. But the likelihood of it getting into a committee, getting a hearing, having, you know, keeping this, you know, on the front burner, so to speak, is pretty high.
Yeah, that was such an interesting part of the conversation, listening to the questions and answers with the governor when he was admitting, we could lose all of the Democratic votes on this, but he anticipated that there would likely be maybe some, as you are, I know you're not really covering the Capitol as you have been covering the Capitol because we're off session here, but what is the feel? Like, does this feel different this year after, losing Speaker Emerita Hortman and having the, horrific attacks, and then obviously with Annunciation being in our backyard? Does this feel different to you, or is this kind of yet another attempt to try to accomplish something that just won't be accomplished here in Minnesota?
I think the
external pressure feels a lot different. I think that the external urgency seems a lot different. These clergy members out here said that they were invited to keep pushing on this by parents from Annunciation. I asked, if they could tell me who those were. They wanted to protect privacy, but they said it was multiple parents from Annunciation, some perhaps victims of gunfire, not Harper Moisky, not Fletcher Merkel's parents, but some of the people who might have been injured, as well as others whose children witnessed all of this. And so, we've heard from several Annunciation parents who also insist that the law change in this state. And so, that is a pretty powerful statement that has continued in the, what is it now, 7 weeks since the Annunciation shooting. So those voices haven't gone silent. And, that is somewhat different from what I usually see here in the application of pressure, especially outside of session. Yeah, it was so much emotion attached to all of this too. It will be just really interesting to see, what ends up, playing out with this. Thanks, Corin. I know you got a lot to kind of put together from all of that today. It was a little bit all over the place, but they covered a lot of ground. So thanks for popping in, and we'll look forward to seeing you a little bit later tonight. Okay, take care. Let's see. Let's do this here. Do you want to take a quick break and come back, or do you want to? Okay, let's do it. Let's do that. Do we have some? Oh, back down in Red Wing. I love it. I was just down in Red Wing this past week and absolutely love that area. Here's a beautiful, peaceful moment for you as we take a break, and we'll be right back after this.
right, we're glad you're with us as we round out our second hour of All Day Live today. We wanted to run through some regional headlines here for you, some stories that we were following. And Amber, you were telling me one here during the commercial break, very, very sad story, an update out of Sartell, is it?
Yes, I actually was just reading this in my inbox, so forgive me if I'm a little bit rough on this here. But I'm learning that a 12-year-old boy in Sartell who got in a bicycle accident on Monday, Amy, is being taken off of life support. He's been declared brain dead. He was riding down a hill, I'm seeing, with a helmet on, and they had a name for this
Muskie Hill.
Muskie Hill, yes, that's it.
People may be familiar with that area.
Yeah, so just a really, really bad bicycle accident.
A friend was with and witnessed and then called 911, but they had trouble confirming the location, so that is a very sad update there.
Took time. He's been at HCMC the last couple days, but it sounds like they're just not able to save him. So
we'll update on that story, and then we have an update as well on a story going north now. We told you guys about this one last week or so.
Yeah, I believe last week, early last week, an inmate escaped from the correction center, the Northeast Regional Correction Center in Duluth. Michael Hart is the inmate's name. So he's back in custody.
The one they thought maybe was headed toward the Iron Range.
Yes.
And
Yes. He was arrested or found near Cohasset. Is that how I say that?
Right outside of Grand Rapids. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So yeah, that's where they found him.
He has been
found.
Been found. Okay.
And then there was a second person also connected to this case I want to mention. She's been rearrested and charged with aiding an offender as well, because she kind of seems like may have helped facilitate him getting out of there. Yeah, an interesting case. You know, I've seen reporting that guards didn't know he was missing for a few hours when he was first gone. And I mean, it's been a week, right? There were active ground searches for the first 24, 48 hours. And then when I talked to the sheriff's department up there, they were saying they just had to kind of rely on tips. So that's how they found him, was, people doing the right thing and calling in.
You saw the mugshot when he was arrested, right?
Yes.
That was the current one?
Yes.
He looked like he had been in a pretty severe fight.
He had a hugely swollen eye. So nothing from the sheriff on what exactly happened there, but he's looking a little worse for the wear.
Okay. And then down to Rochester, right? You found this, you were telling me about this one. You saw this in the Post Bulletin this morning.
Post Bulletin with an article on an understanding addiction class returning tonight, second year for this class. It's free. It's led by a retired nurse practitioner who's working with a nonprofit. I believe, if I remember correctly, 4-week course, runs Wednesday nights through October. You can register online through the community education site. I was doing a little bit of reading about the retired NP, Amy, and she has a really incredible story. She's been a part of the community, a part of the nursing community down there for decades through Winona State University's Rochester location. I mean, back so far as when they didn't even have their own real home yet, and they were bouncing around through former elementary school buildings, some of them so old and not updated that they didn't even have heat. So she's been around, she knows the community well, so if this is something you're interested in, I would put money on that this is going to be a really useful class for people.
Just educating people, it says, about common myths and misconceptions about substance abuse, so that's a very wide, a wide range. You could bring a family to that easily. That'll be interesting. Also, just as a FYI, tomorrow we have, speaking of Rochester and groups down there, we're going to be talking with a group who I think it's called Table, and they are people who have been, I believe they've been homeless, and they formed a group, and they are now advising the city on different issues that relate to that. So just wanted to let you know that's happening tomorrow. Okay, let's see a couple more. Breezy Point. Ooh, what's going on at Breezy Point?
A massive renovation, more than $17 million renovation underway at Breezy Point. So right now they're working on a new golf course. They're kind of upgrading this one that's been around for more than 100 years. So time to bring it into the 21st century is kind of what it sounds like. But on top of that, they're going to be working on new lodging, a new marina, new restaurant, new lobby, basically you name it, and they're trying to upgrade it. New golf course should be ready for Memorial Day weekend of 2027. So not next year, but the year after. It's going to take some time.
Yeah, it sounds like a big project, so yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they got a lot of work to do. 17 million
For sure.
and a lot of things on their to-do list. So, you know, projects always take longer than you think. I would know.
For sure.
Been working on a fence for months.
That's right. And then one more quick one here,
A really quick one. Good news for people around the Remmer area. Highway 200 is reopening earlier than expected. So I pulled up this map on MnDOT's website, and this is the road that's closed down here, Remmer through Hill City. Reamer? Yeah. Sorry.
It's okay. You're from
I'm
Wisconsin.
not a local. I'm a
okay.
Wisconsin girl.
Okay.
I don't know. You know, I'm just a girl doing my best.
I forgive you.
Well, you forgive me because I'm giving you good news.
That's right.
Right? Like
Good
you get
news,
to use the highway
folks.
again. You don't have to take that long detour
Yay.
through Grand Rapids.
Well,
You're
the drivers
welcome.
in Reamer will be so happy. Thank you.
Reamer, and I now know how to
there
say
you
your
go.
name.
Now you know. There's so many that they're just tricky. And then really quickly, just to remind folks, Friday, 1 p.m. live Q&A on Medicare Advantage. Send your questions all day at fox.com, and we will get them answered for you. So, and we'll record it and post it so you can watch it later if you can't.
Absolutely.
If you can't get there. So our reporters are here. They're circling. They're getting ready for the 2 o'clock meeting to decide what we're going to cover here for the rest of the day. Thank you guys so much for joining us, and we will see you back here tomorrow.